We are just a week away from the start of the return to office mandate. Keep in mind it impacts at least 100,000 state employees.
Starting July 1st, most state workers must work in person at the office at least 4 days a week.
ABC 10 State Matters political reporter Ginny Huh has the latest on the debate.
Remember, this was already delayed from last year because of the back and forth between state workers and the governor. We talked to state employees, labor unions, the governor, and political insiders. What could be the politics behind the tug of war between Newsom and labor unions?
What's going to be chaotic is the uncertainty of how people respond to it.
The clock is ticking. Governor Newsom's return to office mandate, which requires nearly all state employees to work in person at the office at least 4 days a week, takes effect next Wednesday.
We don't need to be in office for 4 days a week or the whole week to work collaboratively. The running joke, you're going to be going into the office to telework versus just being at home. So
Forrest Hansen, a state scientist with the Department of Water Resources, says the current hybrid format of in-person 3 days a week or so works. Hansen says he, like many others, was hired fully remote with no heads up they would move to in-person. With the RTO mandate, Hansen says workers will have to pay for lunch, parking, and gas.
But the idea that state workers are responsible to provide profits to downtown business owners in this modern age of telework is just kind of crazy.
That's been Newsom's main point: revitalize downtown.
We got to get these downtowns moving again. Got a sense of community and place.
And in-person interactions.
Be nice to see you again. Nice to see you again. Nice to run into you in the hall.
Yet the pushback from state workers and their unions continues.
It doesn't look good, so. The administration is holding firm on the mandate.
SEIU Local 1000 is the largest union of California state workers. President Anika Walls warns of something like a mass exodus and that rather than a one-size-fits-all mandate, telework should be a case-by-case discussion by each department.
There's a lot of baby boomers that are at the tail end of their careers, right? And so I think the term for it is even the silver tsunami.
Do you feel like this telework debate affects Governor Newsom's relationship with labor unions like yourself?
I absolutely think that actions, right, speak louder than words.
2 words, lame duck. There's no more risk for him in terms of challenging the unions and facing lawsuits.
Newsom only has 6 months left in office once the mandate starts.
He's basically dumping it into Javier Becerra's lap or Steve Hilton's.
Meantime, workers say departments are scrambling to find space, equipment, and finalize schedules.
It's incredibly frustrating. I think everyone's super frustrated at it.
I'm going to be curious to see how many actually do go back.
On that last point, the state tells us compliance with the order, meaning going back at least 4 days a week, is required and that noncompliance will be addressed. And depending on the department, employees may be able to choose which days to work in person.